Alrighty, here we go again, everyone. Welcome to ORL Tier 1 here around Singapore for round 2. And I am joined by J-Man in the comms box. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful, thanks, Lindsay. Lovely to be here once again for a Tier 1 race. And round 2 in Singapore as well. We had a really good and interesting outing last week out of Bahrain for Tier 1. I think hopefully things run a little bit smoother. It's good to be back with you in the commentary box for an in-season race for the first time in this game. So it should be good fun.
Yeah, obviously we did pre-season together, but round 1 I couldn't quite make. And this round you won't be here the whole time, but obviously at least we will be here for quali as a pairing. So, who have we got on the grid tonight, J-Man?
We've got a few good drivers out in the grid. Unfortunately, the Alpine team principal Geordie Slater has resigned his seat for now. He's obviously having some issues with the game, wants to focus on some other stuff, which is completely fair enough. But he's still going to be running that team in his team principal capacity. But the last week's winner at BIS OCE has been unbelievable. Ever since he's joined the league, he's competed in 3 pre-season races. He's come second in all of them, and he rocked up to round 1 and he took the win by 20 seconds in a shortened race, which is only 20 laps. So he's pulled out a second a lap, which is an unbelievable feat, and which is awesome to see as well. He also set a blistering quali lap. We'll see if he can repeat that today. But in qualifying, his main rival was actually Tatno in the Aston Martin, who was surprisingly quick as well. The first time I've ever seen him out on track. So that was really exciting to see also. And so I think those two are ones to look out for in terms of last week's results. But we know a couple of drivers had some poor results, so they'll be looking to come back from those as well.
Yeah, so we definitely have an interesting race here ahead of us. And I don't know if it's a visual bug on my end, but I'm seeing rain. Are you also seeing rain?
I am not.
Yeah, see, my off-board is showing rain, but my on-board is not showing rain.
I will monitor the chat to see if there's any issues going on there. It looks like we're all okay. Everyone's running the soft tyres.
I'm going to bring my graphic settings down to high, see if it's maybe an ultra-high settings bug.
Yep, so we'll keep an eye on that, but all's looking relatively okay for now. And a good little battle forming, especially in that midfield. There was a huge sort of pack that was in the Bahrain race. It was between Tatno, Geordie, Taipan, and then it went down all the way to Zonix and Taipan as well. So that's a huge midfield battle. It's going to be really interesting to see if anyone's able to catch Abyss. Maybe on certain tracks he might be a little bit weaker. We know the likes of Apokic, aka Tyler Bain. He's very quick in previous seasons, as well as Big Manry and Grateful Dog, the Mercedes lineup, look really strong. But at the moment, I can't see anyone that's really convincing me that they're going to be able to beat Abyss on pure race pace. So I think there's going to have to be a little bit of strategy and maybe a bit of luck involved if anyone's going to knock him off today.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think today we'll see anybody knock him off. I mean, I do know that, obviously, Apokic was the one with the quickest eval time, wasn't he? So,
Yes.
Yeah, he definitely could if he's practiced enough. And then, obviously, one of our OFI drivers from last game, SV, he hasn't put in a lot of practice today, so I don't think we'll see him toppling Abyss today, but he could be punching there, as he already does a 26.9, so he's definitely got the pace. He just probably needs to put a bit more time into the game, and I think we'll see him fighting Abyss, but obviously we'll have to see how it goes. But right now, it is looking unlikely we see anybody fighting that RB.
Yeah, and just to give everyone, all the viewers, an indication of what sort of lap times we'll be expecting for pole position, I think. So the pole position time in Tier 2 is set by Milan with a really good lap right at the end. It was a 1:27.2, so we've already eclipsed that. So the question is for Tier 1 is how high can we go? Can we get towards those low 126s, maybe even a 125? Is it possible? It could be for Abyss. And we'll see how he goes in qualifying. But also, we know how important qualifying is here in Singapore because of the difficulty to overtake. So if you do manage to hook up a lap, it could mean a really good chance for the rest of your race as well.
Yeah, and I mean, qualifying around here is very hit or miss. I feel like you either get it completely right or you get it completely wrong, and we see that in real life as well. Obviously, like the likes of 2018 Singapore, where we saw a car that definitely wasn't the quickest and a driver that wasn't the quickest on the weekend, being Lewis Hamilton. He picked up that legendary pole lap there, and he was definitely not the quickest of that weekend, and we've seen it several times over the course of real life and through league racing as well. So it's just really who gets it right.
Yeah, we know a lot of drivers have that ability to set that absolutely perfect lap in them. As I think it was Tyler Bain that went third fastest there.
Yeah, and Abyss is about to round the final corner as well, so will he set the benchmark? He invalidates at the final corner, but he did do a 27.005. So, SV may be able to mix it with him.
He did mention that he's coming in with a little bit of a lack of preparation compared to what he'd usually do Abyss. So I think he's just going to have to warm into this one a little bit. But I think we will see him start to ramp it up through the next 10 minutes of qualifying, as I have quite a few people I need to invite back to the session.
Cool. Right. Taipei and TJ in the Alpine, he's going strong, obviously trying to represent his former teammate and his team principal, Geordie. Obviously, Geordie picked him up in the draft. They're good friends in real life, and Taipei's definitely been showing it was still the right choice to sign him, regardless of if they were friends or not. And he has been quick. He got that podium in pre-season, and he's just been punching above, I think, where he would be, and I think where a lot of people thought he would be. Clammy Kid goes P2 in the McLaren, so McLaren's 2 and 3 right now. They're not showing any signs of poor performance this race or at all. They are running very well, at least at the moment. Taipei rounds the final corner, goes P10, so just a bit of a rough opening run for him. Abyss is probably on an in-lap or a recharge lap, so he's not going quick currently. Grateful Dog is about to dive into the pit lane as well. Italian Ramen is also not using any battery, so a few people not on laps or just going out. Martin's just began a lap in the Ferrari, so we'll see what he can do in the Scarlet Red outfit here under the lights of Singapore as he heads into the fast right-hander in Sector 1. And now he opens up the DRS overtake on as he rounds himself down the straight, flat out kink to the right, basically not a corner in cars anymore. And he takes the left, he gets on the curb, bottoms out a bit, he's going to have lost some time, and drifts his way through the hairpin, so he's really on a knife edge here in that Ferrari. He's giving absolutely everything he possibly can, but as he heads into Sector 2, he's going to have to claw back some time, I'm sure, as he made a couple of mistakes there in that first sector. This is a banker run, so it's going to be quite important for him if he wants to have that full confidence to have a good push in the final run as he locks up going into the hairpin there. Big drift. He's been drifting all around these slow speed corners, so maybe it's intentional, maybe it's not, but it does look like he's losing some time as he locks up and he hits the wall at the slow right-hander heading into Sector 3. And that is not a way to start your session here in his first attempt at a lap as he rounds through the final sector. Will he be able to pick up any sort of reasonable lap time? It doesn't look like it as he's rounding the final corner. It's not even going to be into the 27s. Oh, yes, it will be just 27.6. P6, considering a wall hit, he definitely has some more pace left on the table.
Yeah, he does, and he has been one of those drivers who's been a bit hit and miss during qualifying as well. He's had, throughout the pre-season, had some issues with that as Tatno just invalidates his lap. It looked to be a pretty solid one, unfortunately for him. He's invalidated right at the end there. So the two McLarens, P2 and 3 at the moment, Clammy Kid and ZX. That's a bit of a surprise from the early stages based on their previous performances. So could there be a bit of a improvement here from the McLaren Tier 1 boys to support their Tier 2 teammates who have really carried the load so far?
Yeah, I do think we will see sorry, English, I'm tired. I do think we'll see a bit of a rise in McLaren over the course of this season. Obviously, those two, obviously, they weren't the quickest in preseason. I don't even think both of them were there in preseason, but they got picked up, and now they're just there trying to prove that they can hang it out with the best in ORL. And right now they're proving they definitely can when given the right conditions. So hopefully we see them continue to punch high this afternoon and into the rest of the season, as well as Sonic's disconnects. So That's unfortunate for the RB, who is still yet to set a lap time in this session. And Aiden is Raiden also disconnecting, so F124 just, yeah, great game, isn't it?
Don't worry, I got it.
Yeah, J-Man being the carry. What will I do without you once you're gone? As the Sauber dives into the pits at the end of his flying lap, so wasn't happy with his attempt, clearly. Taipan another lap, he's 7/10 up, but we're going to go to Munry, who's heading through the final couple of corners now. There's also Williams coming to the line, I'm not sure who it is, as a Pocket comes into the pit lane, and Munry now, 2/10 improvement, P4 for him in the Silver Arrow for the moment. As SV in the Aston Martin is on another lap, so we'll go... Oh no, he's backed out of it. We'll go to Taipan as he's heading into Sector 3. He's backed out of it. Go to Italian Rum, and then no, he's also not using any battery. He's backed out of it. God damn. Guys, finish your laps, please. As Grateful Dog is 1.2 seconds up, heading into Sector 3, so he's definitely going for a good run here. He will match his teammate, in fact, beat his teammate if he can keep at his current pace. The Mercedes heading into the final couple of corners, tricky braking into here, and then clobber over the curbs, and then foot to the floor. Don't brush that outside wall, but if you do just brush it, you're alright. Flat out around the final corner, and it's a 26.948 onto P1 for the moment for Grateful Dog. He's arrived on the scene now, so he is definitely trying to go for pole position in this race. Why would he? Why wouldn't he? As Munry coming into an in-lap, and Taipan TJ still backed off. Italian Ramen invalidated. FaZe Kane, not sure. He's just at the start of his lap. Todd also invalidated. What about the McLarens? Clammy Kid heading into the hairpin. So will he get this right? He's just a little bit up right now to be just enough to get him into the 26s. Can he find a little bit more time in the final sector? He has a bit of a snap. And Aiden leaves again, and now I'm getting communicating with online services bug. GG. Hopefully it doesn't invade the rest of my screen like it normally does. As the McLaren heading into the final couple of corners, used his battery a bit too early. He's had a couple of scruffy exits. I honestly don't think he'll improve on this run. It has looked quite rough from him. But as he comes into the final corner, will he find himself an improvement in his middle run? He does a 1 minute 27.09, so he does not improve. ZX also not improving on his lap currently. SV, though, is up just enough to beat Grateful Dog back onto the P1's position. So, will that Aston Martin driver be able to take provisional pole once again? Will he be able to snatch it back and say, no, this is my spot for the taking this afternoon, as he's nearly a 10th up. So this will be enough, but by how much will he extend his advantage over the rest of the grid here in quali before we head into the final runs, as he opens up the battery all the way to overtake, and now brakes into the right-left.
Holy moly,
26.3 from Tapno. Where has that come from? SV won't be taking back the top step, but he'll definitely take back a P2. 26.7. Where has Tapno come from?
He is just an absolute qualifying specialist, it seems, and we're going to watch Abyss now because it's time to see what he can do. He's had a little bit of a warm-up now. He's got 4 minutes left in qualifying, and now Tatno's really just set the challenge to the rest of the field here. What can you guys do? Can there be a response to what he has just said? It's 4/10 clear of anyone else, so it is well and truly game on here. Abyss making his way through the final sector. And let's see what he can do. Just takes a bit of curb there, straightens it up, and just has a little bit, and the wall kind of stabilizes him a little bit as he goes around the final corner now. Can he match it? Oh, it's pretty good. It's a 26.5, slots him right in between the two Aston Martins. But Tatno is really giving Abyss a good show here, it looks like.
Game on then here for qualifying. Not something I expected to see. I don't know where he's come from at all, but I am not disappointed. Meanwhile, Apokic is 8/10 up, and he's on a 27.3, so he could find himself fighting Tatno if he just finds 2 more tenths here in the final sector. Could we see another person join the fray for the fight for pole position? And he's 1.1 seconds up right now. He's on for a 26.2. If he can get this lap finished, will he be able to snatch pole position off of that Aston Martin? It's all to play for here towards the end of qualifying. This might not be Tyler's final run, but he's definitely driving like it as he's heading through the final couple of corners now. He has 1 more to negotiate. He keeps it on the track. Where will he put himself? It's not P1. Oh. It's a 26.354, and that little snap I saw him had out of the hairpin in Sector 3 has just cost him, but that is going to be close in the final runs.
That is incredible. He must have had a blistering final sector on his initial run because he actually lost time compared to his previous lap time. So if he does get time to put one more run in and he gets it all hooked up, he could take pole position here. Yeah, but Abyss still out on the track. Tatno's back in the pits. I assume he's going to come back out shortly. But yeah, this is really, really starting to heat up. Those top 3 have sort of pulled away from the rest of the field in terms of times. What have other drivers got to respond? What are the likes of Martin and Taipan TJ and Zonix? What can they do? Zonix hasn't even been able to come out yet, so hopefully he can in time. But yeah, so let's see what the others have got here.
Yeah, Abyss is on another run, so he's decided not to come in. Maybe use tyres, just letting them warm up a bit. Obviously, tyre tents are a bit of a problem. So maybe the 2 runs with a cooldown lap in the middle could be the play. But right now, Abyss is a 10th up. He needs to find just another 10th after this one if he wants to improve. He's just flicking the steering wheel in so confidently as we see Munry get back into the session, but just a bit too late to go for another run, unfortunately for him. Martin retires from the session, so he doesn't think he has anything more. Abyss nearly grazing the inside wall where the old chicane used to be. And he is giving it absolutely everything. It's almost like he's grazing the walls. Will this be his version of a Singapore 2018 from Lewis Hamilton? We'll have to see here as he's heading into the final sector. He's giving it absolutely everything. He's nearly 2 tenths up. It's not quite enough at this stage. He still has a sector to go. Where will the RB be able to place himself? Will he put himself back on the top like we've seen him so far in this season? It's only round 2, but it's all heating up already. It was looking like Abyss was going to have no challenge this season, but we've seen people show up at least in this qualifying session as he rounds the final corner. Will he put it on pole? No, he invalidates at the final corner!
Oh, no! And it would have been 3rd fastest, but he did mess up that final corner. So if he had gotten that right, it would have definitely been pole position, I think. So that really hurts for Abyss. That could have been pole position. Yeah, and usually when he takes pole position, he doesn't really lose it. So Tatno's just starting his lap. What about Apokic, though? Tyler Bain in 2nd place at the moment. What's he got? We know he's set a blistering lap time to get himself into P2. Has he got just a tiny little bit more in the tank? A few drivers have finished their qualifying now. What's the split time? Oh, it's a 10th. It's over a 10th for Tyler Bain here. He just got to hook up this last sector. Remember, he did make a little mistake last time, which cost him a little bit of time. So this might be a really, really good lap here, as long as he gets this right. And it looks like he has. And now just the final corner where Abyss fell victim to just before. But Tyler Bain's not going to. And he's going to cross the line. And it is going to be pole position. A 126.1. Now we go to Tatno. What's he got in reply?
He's a 10th up currently. That Aston Martin giving it absolutely everything. He knows he needs to dig deep just a little bit more. Tyler improved because he didn't get the snap that he did on his previous run. Tatno's going to have to replicate a perfect Sector 3 if he wants to beat that Williams. It's Mercedes Power versus Mercedes Power under the lights of Singapore. Blue versus green. It's Williams versus Aston Martin. Could this be a theme we see to come? We'll have to see. But it's all eyes on Tatno as he heads into the final couple of corners of the lap here at Singapore. Goes right, hits over the curb on the left, picks up the throttle. It was nice and clean, just flat out through the final corner. Hopefully stays on the track. He does. Will it be enough for pole position? Yes, it is.
He's got it.
At 26.138. Tatno, take a bow. It's a pole position for the Aston Martin.
What an unbelievable lap that is. You won't see anything better than that qualifying session right there. Tyler Bain and Tatno fighting it out. Abyss was just a little bit short there. Zonix, in the meantime, while we weren't looking, came up to P4. One run and 4th place. Zonix will be very, very happy with that. But wow, what a qualifying session in Tier 1. And it's becoming a theme of the season, these qualifying sessions. And yeah, I am stunned to say the least.
Yeah, Tatno coming from absolutely nowhere for your team. How does that feel, watching that as the team principal?
That's beyond what I expected of him in the draft when I picked him second. I saw his evaluation time and I thought I might take a gamble on him, and now it's looking to have paid off, but it is early days. But yeah, that is unbelievable. It's really good to see ORL drivers just competing, setting those incredible lap times. And I can't wait to see what the race has in store for us here.
Yeah, I don't think anybody expected Abyss to be as fast as he was coming into this season, but it's created a surge in people's pace for the league. Tier 1 is looking as quick as ever, and we still have a race to go. Qualifying is a spectacle, but racing around here is another thing altogether. And it's going to be who can keep it out of the walls. And if it's anything like Tier 2, it's who can keep it on the track as well. This will be a race to watch, I think, as we have many, many quick drives. And even OCE Remix, or Martin as we call him now, he has just come into the chat and said he had a 26.4, but he invalidated. So he clearly has some pace underneath his Ferrari. So he's going to be stomping his way back through the grid. He'll be trying to get back involved in this fight. So we have multiple drivers trying to make up for some lackluster qualifyings and multiple drivers trying to keep from their good qualifyings. The Mercedes pairing also didn't have a great qualifying. They'll be trying to find their way back through. And then Taipan TJ as well didn't have the greatest of qualifying sessions. Will he try to find himself back fighting at the front? And then we obviously have our 1 and 2, our Tatno and Apokic, who sit 1 and 2 side by side on the grid after such a close qualifying. Who will prevail? It's all to find out as we come to 5 red lights in Singapore, and we're underway for racing action here as Tyler gets a good start. He's going to try to go up the inside of Tatno. Tatno covers him off as Tatno's going to be leading, and then followed by Tyler Bain, then Abyss, and then Zonic's already under pressure from Grateful Dog as well. Taipan TJ making a move up into P6 from SV, who's dropping down the grid. He's getting overtaken again by Taipan, who just dropped back and then got back past him again. He's now going to be under pressure from the McLaren. Munry nearly finds the wall on the inside of the track as well, as we head into the first proper braking zone where you could overtake after the straight. And Tatno still leading the way as we see FaZe Kane getting past Munry, and then he has a mistake there. And now Munry gets back past, and so does most of the grid as there's a yellow flag. ZX retires from the race, and that's a virtual safety car on lap 1.
Yes, it is, and there's a lot going on towards the back there. Italian Ramen and FaZe Kane both had a spin there. It looks like Ramen has an end plate loss, and I believe there was another driver that also has a lost end plate. I think it might be Sun in the other kick. Yeah, it is. So Italian Ramen and Sun both have wing damage, which I suspect they might have to come in for under the VSC here. But a poor start for Martin. He off the line, he dropped 3 places, but now he's all the way back up into 10th as that's a Alpine, a Taipan TJ has just gone off into the barrier there. And it looks like he avoided any incident, but other than that, the top 4 are unchanged. Grateful Dog had a good start off the line as well. So, other than the ZDX retirement, it looks like a few drivers were able to just escape with minor damage.
Yeah, that was definitely a bit of a blockbuster lap 1. Tatno held his ground though, And as the VSC has ended, we're back green for racing action. Clammy Kid picks up a drive-through for speeding on the VSC. We also saw Aiden as Raiden pick up a 10-second for speeding. So a couple of people being caught out by the full course yellows. And Abyss just sitting lightly on the back. He's only 7 tenths behind, but DRS is enabled after lap 1. So already we're going to see a fight for the first overtake for the lead of the race. No, Apokic backs out of it. Thinks better. It's a tight corner. You can get up the inside, but you have to be all the way alongside. You don't want to be late braking in there as Martin jumps back past Munry as well. And then Todd also getting past Raiden. But as we head into where the Singapore Sling used to be, Tyler not showing up here. He is all the way over the back of Tatno. He is just making his presence known, and the pressure will be felt from that Aston Martin who's leading the way. And Zonix accidentally ends up the inside of Abyss. He did not mean to go for that. I saw the lockup. That was nearly a big crash between the two RBs, and that could have been race ending for one of them. And Abyss definitely would have been caught a bit off guard there. As Apokic has a massive exit slide. We saw that in qualifying as well in his second run, where he didn't quite get provisional pole. And then he cleaned it up in his final run, but he's clearly struggling with getting the power down out of that right-hander in Sector 3. And he's just had a bit of another entry snap as well, and now Abyss is all over the back of him, and then Zonix is all over the back of his teammate. The RBs looking very, very strong as a pairing in this race. SV sets the fastest lap of the race down in P6. So he's showing his driving prowess here in the race. He definitely is very consistent. We saw him last season, super consistent in the races, and sometimes he showed up in quali. He wasn't an OFI driver for no reason, and he's here to prove that.
Yeah, exactly. And now Clammy Kid, Big Munry, and FaZe Kane all coming in for front wing changes as Tyler Bain now takes the lead with DRS. And Tatno tries to fight it out with him, but thinks better of it, just holds behind him for now. So a change in the lead on lap 3. And every driver started on the medium tyres except for Abyss in third place at the moment. We did see in the Tier 2 race, the hard tyres started significantly slower than the mediums. There was a pretty big gap between them. But once we hit that about 10 to 12 lap mark, the mediums started to completely fall off a cliff, and the hards started to shine through. So Abyss, in the lookout for him around lap 10, him to start flying through. But even with his pace, it could be even earlier than that. And yeah, so a few drivers in for those wing changes, a couple penalties there as well. And that's 10 seconds for Aiden and a drive through for Clammy Kid there. So that's going to hurt both of them. And I believe Sun in the kick-out is still running with that front wing damage, so not severe enough for him to pit at this stage. And now the leaders making their way back down the main straight again. Tyler Bain pumping in another fastest lap, showing some really good pace off the start. Does Tatno have anything like his qualifying pace in the race here? We did see his qualifying was really good in Bahrain, but his race pace wasn't quite there to match it, and he is a little bit further behind Apokic here. About 7 or 8 tenths. Now Abyss can start to put some pressure on him as well. Zonix just hang in there. He'll be trying to pull away with this front 3 and try and pull a good gap from Grateful Dog, but he's still hanging on as well, as is SVYT. So the top 6 have formed their own little train here, and then Martin in 7th, a little bit further back, trying to make that time up. And then you've got the rest of the drivers who have come into the pits, and Clammy Kid has come in again after just one lap, it looks like. So, unfortunate for him, he's now all the way down in dead last, and it looks like Tyler Bain has now almost broken the DRS of Tatno.
Yeah, and just to touch on the McLarens here, obviously we thought they were doing very well in qualifying, and we're talking about how they're trying to show up, and then we see ZX retire on lap 1, and now Clammy Kid up the back. So maybe they're improving their quality, but their race maybe just still not quite there yet, and the McLarens will be suffering from it.
Yeah, it's a good point you make. They did have a double DNF last time out in Bahrain, although neither of these drivers were actually at the wheel, as Tatno with a huge snap. And now Abyss out of the final corner down the main straight. They're going to go wheel to wheel here. And it's going to be tense. Tatno wants to hang on to that place. He just gives Abyss enough room. And now Abyss squeezes him out. Nicely done. Great racecraft from Abyss there to make that work. And now Zonix putting some pressure on Tatno. Will Tatno try and fly back with the DRS? But this has really worked well for Tyler Bain, who's pulled a 2-second gap. And now there's going to be a little bit of a squabble with the RBs and Tatno in the middle. Tatno going back down the inside of Abyss, just putting a bit of pressure. There was a bit of wheel bumping. Zonix interested behind as well, and Abyss holding that position. Some hard but fair racing here, as Tatno now has to watch out for Zonix on his outside, and now Zonix has hit the back, because now he's got some pressure from Grateful Dog and SVYT, who's trying to make a move on the Mercedes. He's taking advantage of the opportunity. Grateful Dog runs wide. SV trying to find a way through. It's very difficult to try and sneak past there. Grateful Dog with a poor corner, and that's held them up significantly. But now we go to another DRS zone, and Zonix a lot closer to Tatno than Tatno is to Abyss. So Tatno's dropped 2 places off the start, and he really just needs to hang on here. But it looks like that pack of 6 has all remained intact somehow, but it's a little bit...
Oh crap. My internet's pooped.
Still in the lobby?
I couldn't hear you for a second, but yeah, it's back, and now my communicating with all my services is gone. Okay, I'm back. It's SV now sneaking up the inside of Grateful Dog. Okay, the servers were just doing interesting things. Alright, anyway. I was going to say, just before all of that just happened, Abyss is in a bit of uncharted territory here. Instead of being the one being hunted, he is now hunting a driver much further up the track. 3.5 seconds Apocalypse has over Abyss, and it's definitely going to be something Abyss isn't used to, at least not in Tier 1 ORL this season, as SV making a move up into the top 4. So, he's going to have to push very, very hard. Those hards will slowly come towards him, as you were saying. But the question is, without a safety car, do you think that Abyss will have the raw pace like we've seen him have in previous races, or with a bit less practice, do we think that Apocalypse will continue to blitz him?
It's going to be really neck and neck here. It's hard to call at this stage, but it's all going to be down to the strategy game here. Who's going to pit? When is Apocalypse going to pit off those medium tyres to go into the hards? Is he just going to try and cover Abyss off? And how big is that difference going to be when the crossover happens? So those are 2 big questions that are going to decide the result of this race. Tatno doesn't look like he's got the race pace to match his qualifying speed. SV's now gaining on him as well. So SV's gotten Zonix and Grateful Dog in the last lap, and he looks to have really found a groove here on those medium tyres, has SV. And I think he's going to be hunting down a podium spot here, but it is 2 Astons in between the 2 RBs who are in front and behind them at the moment. And on that note, unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave you, Lindsay. But this is a really enthralling race, and I can't wait to see how it ends. I will be tuning along. And as I said, Tyler Bain's still holding that gap from Abyss.
Yeah, alrighty, so now the reins get left to me. Thank you for your small amount of time, J-Man. Hopefully we'll be in the box together. Well, actually, next weekend I have another 24-hour race, so we'll have to see how all that lines up. But hopefully we're in the box together for a full race at some point soon this season.
Yep. Alright. Catch up.
Alrighty. So, now the reins are left to me here on lap 7 of 31. Grateful Dog is pressuring Zonix here. It is definitely going to be a close one, as Grateful already picked up a penalty. He's right behind Zonix, who went off at the final corner on the previous lap, but Zonix is also closing back in on the 2 Aston Martins, as SV probably needs to catch and overtake his teammate when he's given the opportunity to, and then he can start chasing Abyss, who's slowly closing on Apocalypse, but it's not by a lot, but there's also a long time left to go in this race, and tyre compound plays a factor into that as well. There's not too much actual on-track racing going on at the moment, but it's more of a waiting and play it patient while in the DRS sort of race at this current moment, but I don't think that'll last long now, as SV has a run on Tatno. Will he got the inside of his teammate at turn 1? It's looking likely, and Tatno has damage. Tatno, I've just seen, has no front left end plate, so that explains the drop-off of his pace by just a little bit, and now Zonix is going to try his outside. Couldn't quite get that one done, as he now heads into the right-hander of Sector 2. Oh no, now Zonix has damage, and it's all kicking off. Grateful Dog will now try and get involved. He's the only one in this 3-car train that doesn't not have a front left end plate, but he still can't get involved. The Mercedes probably has 2 reasonably okay overtakes ahead of him now, as Zonix tries the outside of the hairpin. All this is doing is holding the 2 up who have damage, but they're going to get through it wheel to wheel. And Zonix is just thrown Tatno, who now gets underneath him as we head towards the old Singapore Sling. And now he's going to use the backspin to try to go up the inside of the Singapore Sling with wing damage. Will he be able to pull it off? They understeer off the track nearly, but they keep it on the road. Zonix holds the position for now. Grateful Dog waiting to pick his poison, pick his moment here to try and get through into that top 4. But this is not letting up as Tatno hits the inside curb, has a massive snap that lets Zonix get away just a little bit, and Grateful Dog doesn't have the straight line speed to stay with Tatno though, who closes all the way back up to Zonix as they head into the hairpin. Will these two come in for their wing damage, or will they continue to be off the pace with their wing damage but keep the track position? Italian Ramen picks up a 3-second time penalty. So Grateful really has to focus on trying to get through on these two damaged runners. Will we see them come in? Tatno does come into the box. Zonix stays out, so that's one move done already for Grateful Dog without him actually having to get it done on track. Zonix picks up a 3-second time penalty because of his damage, and now Grateful Dog will be the hunter. He is chasing after Zonix here. 1.2 seconds is the gap. Shouldn't be too hard to close because that RB has damage, but Zonix is also no slouch at all, so he won't make it easy even once Grateful Dog does close, because catching is one thing, overtaking is another, as Ayrton Senna used to say, and I think we'll see that come into effect as well. So SV 3.9 seconds behind Abyss. So that's also, this top 3 is spanning out quite quickly, and then Zonix is another 3 seconds back from Grateful Dog, so that whole top 5 just spreading out slowly, except for these two right here. Mercedes versus RB. This is the fight we thought we were going to see for the wins this season, with Munri and Grateful versus Abyss and Zonix, and we're still seeing it to some capacity, but probably not as high of a capacity as we thought. It's Grateful Dog gets a bad exit off the hairpin, keeps the DRS to close back up, but he won't be happy with that one at all. And now he's going to have to wait a bit longer to get a move done. All the while he's bleeding lap time, but he does look like he's really struggling with the grip on those mediums now. It is about the drop-off where the hards become quicker, and we're seeing that now because the gap is closing. It was nearly 4 seconds, now it's 2.2 here on lap 9. Those hard tyres coming into their own here on lap 10, just as J-Man predicted. So he has definitely gotten that one correct as Zonix rounds the final corner to begin another lap in P4. Grateful Dog right behind him, only 5 tenths behind. And yeah, we're definitely still kicking off. So where will Grateful Dog pick his moment? I think he's going to get through here on this straight as Todd gets past Sun, who's just come into the pit lane. As now the Silver Arrow pulls to the inside, sweeps through. Zonix defenseless to fight that one back, but I'm sure down the next DRS straight, if Grateful doesn't pull away because of Zonix's damage, Zonix will continue to try and fight this battle as Tatno gets past Sun as well in the pit lane. Tatno obviously boxed for his damage. We might see a resurgence of his pace now. I just think J-Man and I missed that he did have damage, which is why his pace fell off a little bit. As Zonix still within 6 tenths touching distance, now 7 tenths, so that damage definitely hurting him through the high speed, but during the technical parts of the circuit he's staying with Grateful Dog. And that means he should just hold on to the DRS. Will he come back at him, though, down the straight? We'll have to see, as there's a yellow flag. It's a Haas, and I think there was a Red Bull involved. FaZe Kane retires from the section. Will we see a safety car? Oh, we might, as FaZe Kane stopped in the middle of the road, his retired car. And now Zonix's hit gets even worse. And what are we seeing? As Zonix must have gotten a legal overtake, he lets Grateful Dog through and loses more than a second for the pleasure as well. So that yellow flag causing some troubles as Grateful Dog comes into the pit lane. Does he have damage? Yes, he does, and he gets a 3-second time penalty for missing the pit entry as well. His day going from bad to worse. That stopped Haas on the outside. Just really destroyed his race in one fell swoop, and that is really disappointing to see. As J-Man has just told me, 32% on Apocalypse tyres versus 20% on Abyss's. But as I was saying, Abyss was closing in on Apocalypse. The gap went, because it went from 4 seconds to 2 seconds, now the gap is 5.6 seconds. So Abyss either making a mistake or Apocalypse putting the burners on and just toying with him with his pace. Obviously, that Williams looking quick, but so is that RB, and then SV sitting in the background as well. So this race is developing in quite a strategical way. I think that we're going to see Abyss make a resurgence later on in this race once he's on the medium tyres, though. But there's not a lot of on-track action anymore in this race. There was at the start, but now look at that gap up and down the field. It's 5 seconds, 3 seconds, 12 seconds, 3 seconds, 8 seconds, 7 seconds, then another 8 seconds, then 3 seconds from Munnery to Grateful Dog, then 6 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 6 seconds, and 5 seconds. So the gaps are absolutely huge. So I don't think we're going to see much on-track battling, which obviously isn't great for me because now I have to yap about absolutely nothing until the pit stops happen. But I think we'll see as the race evolves, as the strategy evolves, we'll see the gaps close back up. But right now, there will be no on-track battling for the foreseeable next few laps. Oh, it's a Abyss ball tap there. The RB definitely giving absolutely everything he has. As Zonix rejoins the session, so Zonix was disconnected, hence why he hasn't come in with the damage, I think. That would make a little bit of sense, potentially, but yeah. As Todd now leaves the session, so everybody disconnecting. Let me see if I can re-invite him, because, I don't know, will he show up online, will he not? Please work. Come on, please. Be nice. Be nice. As Munnery gets a 3-second time penalty, just like Div 2, a lot of people getting track limits penalties. I'm still unsure of where, because it's sort of maybe the final corner. I don't know where you'd be getting track limits warnings around this track. It's basically all walls, but somehow the drivers are managing to do it, but that top 3, actually the top 4 hasn't. Martin has found himself back in the top 4, so he's come from kind of out of nowhere. He's still 13 seconds back, but it's something as Tatno makes a move on Todd. No, Todd's just been disconnected, so now he does make a move before Todd gets control of his car once again. That gap will probably be the smallest in the field if Todd gets control of his car again soon. But we'll go back to Abyss as he'll be the one to watch. This is the lead fight, and there isn't much closer going up and down the field. I'm going to pull the mic back in, like I'm leaning back in my chair. Yeah, I am unsure of how this race will continue to evolve, but we'll have to see as Clammy Kid is quite close to Italian Rom, so we've got on board with the McLaren. He is trying to fight Italian Ramen. Oh, Ramen makes a mistake. He has a massive rear lock-up, nearly went into the wall. So it's game on between these two. 7.5 tenths is the gap as we head through Sector 3, and Italian's just going to pull out of the way, so no on-track fight. How sad. That's really sad. Anyway, there's a big exit slide there for Clemmy Kid there, as he had a little bit of a moment. So, Clemmy gets through, but now Italian Rom's staying with him, so we've got on board with the Williams, who's still sitting right up behind him. Italian must be feeling either happy or sad right now, because obviously Apokic is leading the way by a lot, and then he's down in P12, so I'm not sure if he was expecting it, or if he will be a bit disappointed that he's getting absolutely thrashed by his teammate. We'll have to see. We're not even at the halfway stage in this race yet, as, Apokic comes into the pit lane. What tyre is he going to go on to? Abyss now takes the lead. This is the crucial stage of the Grand Prix. He will go onto the hard tyres. If he doesn't, the strategy is not good. As there we go, he goes onto the hard tyres, lap 14. Now he'll have an undercut on those hards, but we know it'll take about 10 laps for them to be better than Abyss's mediums once we get into the race. But Abyss has a lot more laps to do left in his stint. So this is crunch time. He needs to get the undercut. He needs to extend his gap more with the undercut, so then when Abyss is on the mediums, the time gain isn't huge, because it'll take more than 10 laps for them to close, as we see Martin come into the pit lane now as well. He'll be on hard tyres. Yes, he is. Zonix also comes in for a set of white stripe tyres, so this is the box time. He's also going for a new wing, so he's going to lose even more time to the rest of the field. But he will then have all of his grip back, so he'll feel like a new man behind the wheel with the new wing and new tyres. So as he's going to head out of the pit lane, he's going to be racing the two on the exit, but they're going to beat him out, and now he has 2 overtakes to make on Ramen, and Clammy Kid will stay with Zonix for the moment here. As we're reaching the halfway point. One more lap until effectively the halfway point in the race, and still anybody's game. Pocket has come out 21 seconds behind Abyss. Obviously, he had a massive advantage over the top of him before that, so obviously the undercut will be doing wonders for him as well, but it all depends on when Abyss boxes as to how this race will develop. Now, as Martin picks up a penalty, his first of the race, so most drivers up and down the grid now have penalties. Only Abyss, SV, Apocalypse, Tatno, Todd, and Type N TJ don't have penalties, so those guys keeping it on the road at least for the moment, but there's still half a race to go. As Apocalypse gets past SV, who has come into the box. The RB here, hunting down these two. He should get past Ramen, no problem at all. But obviously, Ramen probably won't give up super easily. Never mind, yes, he really goes off. Hits the wall. As the two Aston Martins come out close to each other. But that was nearly an incident between Sonics and Ramen. That could have been absolutely devastating. Now, he's got to close up to Clammy Kid, though. So game on between these two. Obviously, it won't be much of a fight. Zonix will close quite quickly, but obviously, Clammy Kid was up there in qualifying, so maybe his pace is just not showing here in the race, but maybe he'll still be able to fight at RB. We'll have to see. As we head into the DRS now, it'll be a pretty exemplary overtake here from Zonix, just cruised by. Just your average overtake. Oh, Clammy Kid defends very aggressively to the inside. Zonix finds himself nearly in a crash there. Had to lift off and go the long way. But he's through as we see a yellow flag. It's Clammy Kid who actually made a massive error there against Zonix. So, not great for the McLaren driver. As we'll go to Munry versus Sun. The Sauber versus the Silver Arrow. And we'll have to see how this one develops as well. As Apocalypse sets fastest lap of the race, 29.8, so he's looking quick on the fresh hard tyres. As Sun looking for a move up the inside, he does go up the inside, he's going to get that move done on Munry. Munry's going to try get him back on the exit. Can't make anything special happen though. As he's now going to go left, go right, he's looking for any possible overtaking opportunity. And Munry tries the outside, can't quite pull it off, tries to switch underneath to get the good exit. But it's not going to do any favours for him as the final corner is not an overtaking opportunity. But now as we head on to lap 16, the Mercedes driver might have a go down into turn 1. No, not quite. So he's going to have to wait for the next straight. He has to make no mistakes here and stay right up behind Sun. As he's heading through onto the straight now. Munry versus Sun, Sauber versus Mercedes. Will he be able to get through as Martin makes a move on his teammates just to let him through, overtake those? The gap now has extended quite a lot. Munry not having the straight line speed compared to Sun though. So Sun holding on the position in that Sauber for the moment. I just dropped. Where is it? Where did I drop it? Come on. As Apocalypse now banging out another pass, like 29.4, 5 tenths quicker than his previous one. So he's no joke. He is definitely a force to be reckoned with. Nobody really hears from him anymore. He was very active in the league, but then would disappear mid-season. But now, we think he's disappeared, but then he shows up for the races, and when he shows up, he's showing up with some pace. So definitely putting his focus towards F1 here. And it's really good to see from that Williams driver, the Williams team principal now, I believe. He's the acting Williams team principal. Or actually, no, not even acting. He just is the Williams team principal right now, I believe. So, really good to see his efforts being shown. As Munry has been caught by Zonix now, so this could be a fight to watch. We'll go off-board from Munry, so the camera follows him. And now he's in a sandwich here. He's trying to overtake a car, but he's also being attacked by a car who's trying to overtake him. So how will this one evolve as Zonix is already on the inside? He should sweep through quite easily, but he's going to try and defend. No, he actually doesn't. Munry slots in, and that just about sums up Munry's race, as he actually has damage right now. So that explains why he couldn't get past the Sauber and why Zonix made it look so incredibly easy. So, yeah, no problems there for Zonix trying to get past. And now He's going to have a run on Sun as well as we head into the next DRS zone. 4/10 is the gap between the two of them. If Zonix gets a good exit, he can go for a move on the Sauber on this straight. Maybe he'll go for it on the next one. Sun has a lot of straight line speed though, so this could be a problem for Zonix if he isn't careful. But Gap is now only 3/10 as they head onto the straight towards the final couple of corners of this racetrack, heading past where the old corners used to be, the old last sector that could make a return in years to come, but not right now, not on this game and not this year, as now Zonix still putting the pressure on as we head on to lap 18. Zonix is probably going to go for a move down into turn 1. He's thinking about it. Is he close enough? No, actually. He's getting held up quite severely here as Aiden comes out of the pit lane, but he is a lap down, so he won't be causing them any problems as Sun got a bad exit. Zonix now might try the inside. No, he just waits for his moment. He's going to be right behind him on the straight, so it should be a pretty simple overtake now. DRS wide open as he's gaining in the slipstream as we head towards the braking zone. He goes outside, Sun defends the inside, and there we go. Zonix getting that move done, and now he has to chase 9 seconds to Martin if he wants to get back up into the top 6, but he has plenty of time to do it, and I think he has a bit more pace than Martin, so we'll have to see how that one evolves as Tatno, with a front wing on his car after his pit stop, has gotten ahead of his teammate, but obviously his hards will drop off earlier as Abyss comes into the pit lane on lap 19 for a set of the yellow stripes as we expected. So what's the gap as we come out of the pit lane? This is now the race, as the gap is going to be 10, 11, 11.6 seconds. So Abyss has 13 laps? No. Sorry, not 13 laps. Abyss has about 12 laps to catch about 12 seconds. So he's going to need to gain a second a lap on those mediums against a driver who's been debatably quicker than him on this occasion. So he has his work very much cut out for him here. The RB versus the Williams. He's already gained a couple of tenths through these first corners on his outlap, but he has to get those tyres up to temperature, and then he's going to have to push like a madman, but I'm sure he won't be upset with a P2 at all, but he'll want the trophy, he'll want the P1, as he's already pushing on the limit. You can see the car sliding through the corners. He's giving it everything, using all the track at his disposal. He's nearly got it back into the 10-second range already, so he's not messing about, as the gap is now 10.9 seconds, so he's already closing quite significantly. But we're going to go to Aston Martin versus Aston Martin here, as SV searches the outside, Tatno defends, as Sun retires on the section. If this is a safety car, that's huge. It's a VSC, so no yellow dot on our minimap, but that hurts Abyss loads. Unless Abyss gets the restart exactly right, he was on a charge, and now he's going to lose time. Probably. And he's going to lose time to overtake at least, even if the gap is the same once we come back in. So that's going to be really frustrating and make his job even harder if he wants to pull this one off, as SV takes the position off as Tatno. As Tatno comes into the pit lane here late. Obviously, he did have to box quite early, so he's probably just going to a fresh set of yellow striped, as I did see that he is. Type in TJ up into P11 from Sun's retirement, as DRS now enabled. Grateful Dog moving up past Tatno. Oh no, SV's had a spin! SV gets damage. He just grazed the wall, but it's enough to put him with some damage. And now Grateful Dog arrives on scene. The Mercedes driver definitely could be looking for a podium here if he's fast enough compared to SV with his damage and his probably overheated tyres now from the spin as well. He's lucky to get away as unscathed as he did, only an end plate falling off of that Aston Martin, but that is very frustrating for him. A very difficult corner to not be able to get the power down, but he manages to just loop it around, and you got a feel for him. Obviously, he didn't have basically any practice at all, so he's been quite quick off rip to be able to even be where he is today. But yeah, it'll be a very close one here, as SV giving absolutely everything to try to stay ahead of Grateful Dog, but the gap 1.1 seconds and closing. He might come into the pit lane, just get that damage going so he doesn't have to deal with it for another 10 laps, but yeah, he'll be kicking himself. So the gap is 10.4 seconds from Tyler to Abyss, as SV doesn't come into the pit lane, but he had another wall graze there. No damage for him though on that wall graze. But yeah, the gap is now inside of 10 seconds, or at least it was briefly. It was 9.8 seconds, and now it's back into the 9 seconds. 10 laps to go, 10 seconds to gain, plus an overtake. It would have been probably a little bit easier if he could have continued at that rate without the VSC getting in the way for about half a lap. Honestly, it's looking likely that he might be able to close 9.1 seconds in only a couple of corners' time. So Abyss is absolutely flying, showing all of his pace. He is not letting up here. 8.9 seconds. Abyss is pushing like hell here in that RB. If a mistake creeps in, it could mean the end of his race. But if a mistake doesn't creep in and he does close, it will be enough to fight for the lead. But Apocalypse has his work cut out for him. Those hards aren't as good as those mediums, but they will be when Abyss will probably catch at the end of the race. They will be even tires. So, the question is, how quickly can Abyss close? Abyss is going to have to close super quickly because he also needs a spare lap to be able to overtake as well. 8.2 seconds is the gap, and it hasn't even been another lap at this point. So he is giving it absolutely everything as Abyss 28.4 fastest lap. Apocalypse was a 29.4 for his personal best in this race, which was the fastest lap until just that moment. Now 7.8 seconds is the gap from Abyss to Tyler. This is a true chase down here. This is Abyss showing all of his pace, everything he has in the tank. So this chase will be definitely one that we'll be watching. We'll just be looking at that delta while this fight we're looking at here, SV versus Grateful Dog, continues to rage on. But Tyler is under immense pressure as the gap is now nearly only in the 6 seconds that it is now. 6 seconds, 6.9 seconds, as Abyss is closing at unseen rates. As Grateful Dog on the outside of SV gets through, but SV's trying to have a run back at him into the hairpin. Who will come out on top? They're going wheel to wheel. They squeeze each other. But SV defending and holds the position for now. So he's really just being a pain in Grateful Dog's backside, because once Grateful Dog gets through, he should be able to pull away, considering he doesn't have damage and SV does. But SV knows he needs to defend because Grateful Dog has 6 seconds worth of penalties, and he just needs to make sure there's not enough time for him to find that. Now, 6.5 seconds is the gap between the two leaders. Abyss closing at such a rapid rate, there definitely will be a fight. I thought it was going to be about a second per lap gain, and maybe he might run out of time at the end. I did not see this coming, as he's closed nearly 5 seconds in just a few laps. This is going to be quite an easy close as long as he keeps at the rate he is, but he's definitely abusing those tyres a lot. So it's going to be easier said than done to keep the pace gain he has, because those hards will only be getting better compared to Abyss's medium. So he might close a lot now, as he's about to get it within that 5 second gap, but he has to close soon, because soon their tyres will be equal, or not enough to be gaining as much as he needs to. There is about 8 laps to go. Abyss 6 seconds. With his tyres slowly fading away, it's going to be close. Meanwhile, though, not Abyss, sorry, I've just been talking about Abyss this whole time. Grateful Dog, though, is under some great pressure. Sorry, I'm really tired, guys. Give me a break. Please don't bully me. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. Grateful Dog putting some immense pressure on SV. There we go. There's the right words. That's what I was trying to say before, guys. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about, I think, maybe. SV putting on a defensive masterclass here with the amount of damage he has, though. And here we go. Grateful Dog in the DRS again. Will he be able to go for a move on SV? We'll have to see. Not quite. 3/10 is the gap between the two of them. I think that SV just has a little bit more straight line speed than Grateful Dog is. Grateful's actually made a mistake. He's gone off and now the gap is 1.2 seconds. SV can breathe for a little while as there's 7 laps to go. The gap between Abyss and Tyler is 4 seconds. So Abyss still closing. The gap is now within 3 seconds. This is a battle well and truly worth watching. I do think that maybe, actually, that could explain a little bit of his time gain. I think that Pocket was having to get through some traffic there, as he has a lot in front of him right now. on that minimap. He had to negotiate type in, and he had to negotiate one of the McLarens as well, so maybe that hurt him just a little bit. Will it hurt Abyss though? As he's now approaching this traffic, will type in put on any sort of defense against Abyss for no reason. He'll probably pick up a penalty if he does, but he very well might, just because his race is mudded anyway, but hopefully he doesn't, because that's poor. There's no type in pulling out of the way. Knows he's in this fight. He has not known when to back out sometimes, so I was just a bit worried there, like Silverstone last season. We could have seen a repeat of that, but Abyss 3.2 seconds. The gap is 3 seconds with 6 laps, and the chase is still on. Those tyres will be becoming more equal by the moment, but the question is, if Abyss catches... no, it's not even a question. He's caught more traffic there, and he just had to negotiate, so he's lost another 6/10 from that traffic, so that's definitely the cause of why it's been so tricky for him to try and catch. But right now, Abyss's tyres are significantly better. When he catches in probably a little bit of time, if he catches him after lap 27 or 28, their tyres will be equal, and then it's definitely a fight to watch. So, we've just got an update from J-Man. Abyss's mediums are on 17%, Tyler's hards are on 20%. So yeah, as I was saying, Abyss just has a little bit better tyres because he hasn't hit first drop-off yet. Once he hits 20% on those mediums, it'll be first drop-off. Then he's going to be under pressure. He has to make that gap close before lap 27. Then they'll be on about even pace until lap 29. And then from lap 29 to 31, I'd say Tyler's cars will be better. So Abyss really needs to make it stick very quickly. 1.9 seconds is the gap. He's put on an absolutely legendary chase. I thought it was nearly impossible. He'd have to gain nearly a second a lap, which I thought we might see a last lap shootout. But right now, he's been gaining more than a second a lap. He's been showing his pace. He's showing that he's the quickest driver in this league. No question about it. But can he then make the move? Catching is definitely it was definitely the hard part in the situation, though. It was 10 seconds. Overtaking is still going to be difficult, though. He's used a lot of battery. I'm sure Tyler also has as well. We're going to say on board with the RB, 1.8 seconds. He needs 8 tenths to be within that DRS range. What a drive it would be, even if he doesn't win this race, just to close this time and really get it. But something tells me he's not going to let anything stop him. With 5 laps to go, I think he very much is going to be the winner of this race. With the rate he's been going, I'd be ecstatic for either of these two to win. I'd be ecstatic for anyone up and down the grid to win. But what a chase, what a race it would be, proving why he's the best here in this division, in this league. Abyss will really show what he's made of if he can win from 10 seconds back. Actually, it was 11.9 seconds back when the chase started. Now it's 1.9, so he gained 10 seconds since lap 20. And the chase still continues. 1.7 seconds, 1.6 seconds, 1.5 seconds. He's gaining all the time, but that amount he's gaining by is shrinking. He's pushing with everything he has. He'll close into that DRS, I think. Those tyres now will be beginning to struggle. He's locking up, going wide at a few corners, but he still has just a bit better pace. 1.4 seconds. Once he gets into that DRS, he can relax just a little bit. But with 4 laps to go here, it's still anybody's game between these two. And I'm excited to see how this ends up. I'm going to take a sip of water as I get prepared for this final lap. I'm actually going to give you a lap on board with no heads-up display on board with Abyss for this lap, just so you can appreciate how much he's pushing. There we go, that's that lap done on board. But crucially, inside of that lap, now he is within DRS. Oh, Tyler's made a mistake as well. The gap is basically nothing. It is 0.4 of a second here as we reach the end of this race. 3 laps to decide the winner here between these two. Who will it be? Put your bets in the chat and I'll read them out. Who do you think will win, Tyler or Abyss? My bets are on Abyss. He's not going to go all of this way just to fall short. But Tyler is also a good driver. So, I'm just going to quickly move my mic back up to my desk so I'm closer over the keyboard so I don't miss anything. Okay. So, Abyss, 0.6 behind Apokic. Apokic has been pushing, but not as much as this man we're on board with has been pushing. We're going to go off board with Tyler. And look at this. First time Abyss has opened the DRS down and overtaking straight with even the slightest chance of an overtake. He did have it lightly down the straight onto this lap, but he hasn't been this close. And then once again, we see Apokic having that struggle with the traction zone there. He's had a snap there nearly every single lap, as we see someone in chat says Tyler just. So I think it'll be Abyss, as I said, but I respect the fact that you think it could be Tyler. I think it's anybody's game. So Apokic just pulling it out when it matters here, it seems. He's just lingering that 0.6 gap just enough, but he does have a lot less battery than Abyss here. Not having enough battery at this... wow, okay. J-Man's just told us that Apokic is carrying minor damage. Is it front wing or rear wing, or what is it? What sort of damage is it? Because he's not missing any part on his car. As Abyss 0.4 behind. That would explain the slight pace, but I genuinely don't think it's noticeable. It's probably like a lime wing, and the lime wing, you don't feel any difference. The Abyss loses the rear there. As they're catching some traffic, they're catching Todd, it seems. So that could play a huge role in this race, depending on when they catch him, because Apokic could find himself with some DRS here. Front wing, yeah. It's probably, how minor is it? Because if it's lime like I'm thinking it is, you don't feel it and it doesn't affect, yeah, light green, yeah. It doesn't affect your pace at all when you have a light green wing, luckily. So it's not anything huge, but Abyss had a massive moment there on the exit, and that has definitely let Apokic pull away just enough again, just to be annoying to Abyss. 8.5 tenths now, back within the 0.7 range. And Abyss, 0.7. I'm not sure if he can hold on. Those mediums have fallen off. We're on the penultimate lap. It's still all to play for, but I'm happy. I might swing towards Apokic maybe bringing this home now, because I think Abyss's tyres have just given up at the wrong moment. They look like they've lost all of their grip compared to those hard tyres, and finally, boxing onto the hards pays off at the end, as J-Man said. And yeah, this is going to be a really close one, as someone in chat says the RB will win. I'm not sure at this point. I was pretty certain that Abyss wouldn't fall up short, but that crossover is here. Those mediums have no grip anymore, and we're heading into Sector 2, and I don't know if he can do it. He's just not quite close enough. Oh, as Apokic has a massive snap though, those hards also struggling for grip. So Abyss has 35% tyres, Tyler has 31, so those hards are well and truly better, because 31% hards are definitely more grippy than 35% mediums. So Abyss is going to have to dig deep if he wants to bring this one home. 0.4 is the gap between the two of them as we head into Sector 3. There's going to be one more lap to take the win here. Abyss has closed 12 seconds over the past 11 laps. He won't want to fall short, but will Tyler be able to hold on? It's all to find out as we head around the penultimate corner, as we head onto the final lap. Abyss goes off the track again, much like he did a few times in qualifying, and that makes his job harder. The gap is 5 tenths when it would have probably been 4, as Climbing Kid picks up a penalty. That's not important right now, though. The gap is 6 tenths. Abyss hit the inside curb. I don't think he's going to have the battery. Apokic just has a little bit more. But as we head on to the first overtaking zone of the track, the DRS straight, What is the gap going to be as they enter at 7.5 tenths? What's the gap going to be as we enter into the corner? It's going to be about 5 tenths. Abyss has to hold on here as they head into the middle sector. He has to keep digging deep. He has to just pull out a little bit more out of the hat. And he has to just find that little bit more. He found so much early on with those mediums, but they've fallen away from him. It is much like Hudson versus DXman just a few seasons ago. Will it come down to the final corner like it did with them? We'll have to find out as we head into the hairpin. This is going to be another overtaking zone. There's a yellow flag in front of them. Oh no! His teammate screwed him over. Italian Ramen has gotten in the way, and Abyss is through. Apokic now has to find an overtake. That's poor racing there from Italian Ramen to get in the way of his teammate and Abyss and screw with this final lap battle. Now, Apokic's going to be the one who's going to be on the back foot, and it's not going to be enough. Abyss, after all of this time, he's gained for a 12 lap straight. He pulled back a 12-second lead, and he's going to round the final corner victorious. Abyss takes the win in Singapore, and he will be elated with the result. Tyler takes it, and they win by 36 seconds over the next fastest car of SVYT. Take a bow, the two of them. It's a bit of an interesting way to finish the race. Definitely controversial, and there will be a penalty coming Italian Ramen's way, I'm sure. That is definitely a controversial way to end it. But Abyss takes the win. And wow, I cannot believe what I've just seen. What a clawback from him. But yeah, I don't even know what to say about that final corner. Or the final hairpin in Sector 3. That was interesting. But take a bow, Abyss. Take a bow, Tyler. You two were the quickest of the day. And then we have SV and P3, and then P3 and P4 Aston Martin, so that's a great points haul for him. And then Mercedes P5 and P7, and then so it's a win and a P6 for RB, with Zonix picking up the P6. Then Martin, Italian Ramen, definitely some controversy hanging over his head now. He's just ruined that for Apokic. I genuinely think Apokic would have held on. He had a bit more battery, and I think a bit more straight line speed, so Abyss will be very happy that happened. But teammates, losing another teammate the win is definitely not the way you want to take things. And then Todd, Clammy Kid, Type N, and Aiden with the 3 DNFers. Yeah, absolute controversy here. As I'm going to quickly tab out so the screen will go black as we're going to get ready for the interviews. Gonna get Abyss and then SV. So apparently also Apokic lost 6 seconds to Clammy Kid. When he was a lapped marker as well, so even more lapped car controversy potentially going. Definitely some reports to come, I'm sure, then. The lapped cars are definitely causing some controversy, but run you through your final results of the night before we get ready for interviews. As, oh no, I don't get to see the final results. What a game! What a game! Anyway. Get OBS back up so I can... 7, okay. Alrighty. Who do we have? We have Tyler Bain. So, that's one person. I'm gonna ping Abyss and SV again. There they are. Alrighty, once I get tabbed back into F1, we'll get these interviews underway. But all I have to say, just to the three of you, what can I, or especially you two that finished 1 and 2, when I say one word, what's your reaction to it? Last lap controversy. No, nothing? Okay. Lovely. Good stuff.
Talking to me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Final lap
Yes.
controversy.
Absolutely. However, it does feel like a bit of payback for what happened earlier in the race. It was a great battle. I ran out of tires. I thought that was the plan. I stayed out heaps long, put on some fresh tires, have the tire advantage over Tyler, and it worked, I guess. But at the end, he managed to turn the wick back up as soon as those lap cars got out of the way, which was the main talking point out of this race. As well as I only got one lap in qualifying done because I got blocked twice. So yeah, I mean, it came around. I got literally taken out by a lap car and lost, I think, 5 seconds. So
That's what
yeah,
happened. Right, that makes sense.
yeah. I was slapping a lap car and he just turned across me and took us both out and then retired on track and ruined everyone else's race too. But anyway,
Yeah, he took out Great Britain's
um,
wing as well.
yeah, that's awesome stuff. Yeah, great, awesome. Anyway, yeah, that's what happened. It was a great race. Unfortunate for it to end like that. But yeah, we'll take the win, extending the championship lead. Tyler probably deserved that one in the end. He had more pace, but I've literally just driven 4 hours home from Sydney, arrived 20 minutes before. We had a car crash on the way here. I've won the race.
Oh, okay.
We'll take it.
Well, yeah, definitely an interesting
guys.
one. And just one more. Going into next round, how are you feeling? I'm actually not sure what the track is, but
I'll check for you.
I can, yeah, well, I would say I would check, because normally I would now that I have two monitors, but F1's dumb and I can't use my second screen.
Where the fuck is it? Where is the calendar?
Okay. Because I'm going to ask this
Calendar,
question.
found it. It's, oh no, user in trouble.
What track is it?
Saudi. User in a lot of trouble.
Oh, goddamn, yeah, we're in trouble. You're good around there. I know you're good around there.
Oh, that's like one of my top 3 tracks.
Yeah, so obviously you're feeling pretty good going into that. So, yeah, good luck for that one and great race. And you've taken the win after. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, after all that, yeah, interesting to say the least.
Interesting. It's perfect word. Interesting.
Yeah, alrighty, well, thank you, Abyss. We're now going to go, before we go to Apocalypse, we're going to go to SV in the Aston Martin. You picked up a P3, you're 35 seconds behind the rest of the leaders, but you got to be pretty happy with that one. Obviously, you also got very little practice, much like Abyss, and you basically haven't touched this game at all, though. Are you happy with that podium at SV?
Truthfully, not really, but I can't complain. I've got 11 hours on the game. About 4 of them are me just sitting in the menu, and another 2 are like just commentating. I probably did about 5 laps for the race, and honestly, I thought the win was on there for a bit, but after the pit lane, I came out, spun into a wall, got damaged for the final like 14 laps, so that threw away my chances. Honestly, I was surprised to keep P3 as Tata or Tatno and the other Mercedes were hot on my tail, but despite the wing damage, still managed to come in P3, so I can't be too mad. But now that I know I've found pace on this game, the rest of the season is game on from here.
Yeah, so we'll have to see you punching up the front soon, and then going into next round, Saudi Arabia. How do you feel about that track?
I think last season proves how I feel about that track. I think I was probably 3rd fastest on a game that I was normally top 2 at, and I didn't even make it past 10 laps. So unless the game has changed the track and made it better this game, I'm probably gonna do horrible.
Half of it's flat out now, so.
Oh, maybe I might be alright, but yeah, if it's anything like last game, then I'm gonna definitely struggle at Saudi.
Yeah, alrighty. Well, thank you for your thoughts. We'll now move on to the person who definitely will be feeling a bit gutted, though. The Williams driver, Tyler Bain. I actually haven't heard from you in a while, but it was looking so close there. You were getting closed on. Obviously, lap markers played a huge role in that, so you got to be pretty upset with it. But at the end of the day, it's still a P2. But what are your thoughts on that race?
I mean, to be honest, it was a very interesting race, to say the least, especially with back markers. Yeah, I mean, I was confident coming into it in saying that I did no practice at all. I set my wheel up probably 5 minutes before the lobby opened, and then quali went alright. But the race, I was pretty comfortable after I pulled away at the start. I was managing tires, and then all of a sudden they fell off a cliff, and I started losing heaps of time to Abyss behind. But then, I was managing the hards and then caught up to the lapped cars. And I mean, yeah, there's not much to say about that. It was just unfortunate, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
Just to touch on that, it was your teammate who ended up costing you the win there at the end. Obviously, you were losing a lot of time behind the McLarens and stuff, but at the hairpin, you come around the corner and your teammate blocks you. Did that sting any more than the rest of the cars?
it didn't sink in that it was my teammate until about 3 or 4 seconds after it happened. I kind of jumped. I'm not gonna lie, it scared the shit out of me. I wasn't expecting to come around the corner and see a car parked in the middle of it. But yeah, it was just unfortunate.
Yeah, it happens, and then obviously traffic was a big problem. This goes to anyone who's watching and just everyone on the grid, but especially you two, Abyss and Tyler, who seem to have been having some problems with the traffic. If you need to report it, obviously feel free.
Oh yeah.
So obviously that could change a couple of the results, but it probably won't change anything between you two. But I'll now ask the question I've asked the rest of them. How are you feeling going into the next race around Saudi?
Honestly, I haven't driven it since they released the handling patch, so I'm not 100% sure. I'll just have to get some laps in and see how I feel.
Yeah, that's fair enough, and I think there's another one to come where the curbs will take a bit more of effect, so maybe the Tony Hawk will be a bit easier now again as well, which wasn't super easy to do with this game up until this point, but we'll have to see. But yeah, good result there, and obviously P2, bit bittersweet, but you can definitely be punching up the top for the rest of the season, so good luck for that one. Great job, all three of you who are here in the interview paddock tonight. You did an incredible job to get P3, but hopefully this isn't the last time I interview you all. I doubt it will be. You three are rapid. But that is going to be all for ORL proceedings tonight. Tier 2 is done, Tier 1 is done, and now we move on to the next round. And good night.